Hello everybody, welcome to the Python course. In the previous part, we have covered module 8, that is OOPS and programming. Now in this part, we will cover the module 9, that is file handling and modules. In this part, we will see how we can handle the input-output operations in files. We will see various file modes, that is how to open a file in read mode, write mode or append mode. We will see various methods such as seek and tell, and in the later part of the section, we will see and understand various Python libraries. What is the use of import statement? And we will cover the math library, OS library, and random module. So let's start. I've already opened up my Anaconda Navigator. We will launch a new Jupyter notebook and we will create a new file by the name of the module, that is file handling. I'll navigate to documents, GitHub projects, then Python trainings, Tronic, and we'll create a new Python file that is named as module 9 file handling. Okay. So in this part we will see how we can open a file. Suppose you have a .txt file in which there are some contents written on it, and you wanted to read that all those contents. So programmatically, how you can do this part, right? So there is a open method in which it takes two arguments. In the first argument, it is the path where your file is situated, and the another mode is your in which mode you are trying to open that file. So whether it is a read mode, write mode or append mode, right? So we will see these modes one by one. So first of all, let us try to understand how we can open a file, and then we could read the contents of a file, and then we can close that file. So these three operations we wanted to do it, right? So here in this case, what I have done is I'm opening a file using the open method, and the path of the file is specified, and I specified to open it in the read mode, and I take the output in a file pointer. So this is the pointer which is being pointed to the start of the file, right? So it will start reading all the contents starting from the beginning, right? Then I in this file pointer I am calling a function called read. So what it does, it reads the contents of the file, and it will read till the end of the file, and we are catching it in a print statement, and it will display all the contents. Then after that we are closing that file. So these are the three operations in which we could open a file, read the contents of a file, and then close that file, right? So let's see this programmatically and start working on it. Okay, so first of all, we need a file. We need a text file so that we could write all those contents in it, right? So let us say in this Jupyter notebook, I wanted to make a new file. So I will click on new, and I will click on text file. So this text file is opened as untitled.txt. So I can name it in, I will give a valid name, that is my file.txt. Okay. Now suppose I put some contents to it. this is my new file, module 9 of Python. Enjoy this course very much. I love Python programming, right? So now I save this file and it is saved, right? Now I close this file, and if I wanted to check what's in my file, so I could check it again by clicking on mytext.txt. So now you can see that these are the contents which are present in my file.txt. So by visibly you can click on that file and see these contents. So but programmatically you wanted to see the contents by using Python programming. So let us see how it will happen. First you write the open, and then you specify the path, that is my, we have named as my file.txt, right? And we specify it in the read mode. And now opening that file will result in, the output will result in the file pointer. So this is my file pointer, right? Then I say print file pointer dot read, and then I close this file, right? So let us execute this, and now you can see that whatever I have, whatever I filled in this file is being printed on my console. So you can read the contents of a file, of any file, of any txt file by using Python language, by using the open command, right? Okay, so this is how we have opened a new file and we have output the contents of the file, right? Now the open function call takes in two parameters, one is the file name and then is the mode. So file name can be of a absolute path or a relative path. On Linux we have the file structure something like this. If the file is being residing at your workspace, so it will be, path will be home xyz workspace ls.txt, and we are opening it in the read mode. On the Windows we have the different path, that is C drive / users xyz workspace ls.txt, right? So but here in this case, my file was residing in the same folder, that is I was in the Tunic folder, and in this side the Tunic folder my module was there and my file was also there. So in this is my Tunic folder, right, in which I have my file and my file handling dot ipnb notebook also. So we don't need to specify the absolute path, right? We have specified the relative path because these both the files are on the same directory level, so we don't need to specify any absolute path, right? So this is how we can open a file in the read mode using a file pointer, and then we could read the contents line by line, right? Okay, now we'll talk about the various file modes. So for the read mode, will only be read. This file pointer is placed at the beginning of the file, and this is the default mode. Here, even if you don't specify it, right, by default it is in the read mode only, then also the program will work and will output the same as it is being opened in the read mode, right? Next mode is our write mode. It opens a file for writing only, right? And it overrides the file if the file exists. What does that mean? It overrides the contents of the file if the file already exists, and if it does not exist, then it will create a new file for writing, right? So this will see, and this will see the working also. But first understand the different file formats. Then we'll take one by one all the file modes, right? Okay. So first we have done the read mode, in which the file will only be read. Then we have learnt about the write mode, which opens a file for writing. And if the file does not exist, it will create a new file. And if the file already exists, it will overwrite that file, right? Overwrite the contents of that file, basically. Now the third mode is your append mode, and it opens a file for appending. Here the pointer is being pointing at the end of the file, and if the file exists, it points to the end of the file, and if does not exist, it will create a new files for writing, right? It's basically used if we wanted to modify or add the contents in the same file. That is how we use the append method, right? Similarly, we have our R plus, W plus, and A plus, right? So plus refers to opens the file both for reading and writing, right? So we can read and write at the same time, and the pointer will be at the beginning of the file. In W plus, it opens the file both for writing and reading, and it overrides the existing file if the file already exists, and if does not exist, it will create a new file. And in the append method, it opens for appending and reading, right? And the file pointer is being placed at the end of the file if the file exists, and if it does not exist, it will create a new file for reading and writing, right? So these are the basic modes in which we could read our file, we could write the file contents, and we could append some of the contents in the existing, or we can make it a new file as per our convenience. Now there are some different methods of a file object. So this is a file object or a file pointer, we can say that. So read, we have already seen that. Now we will see the read line method or read lines, then write, then seek and tell. So these are some of the file object methods that we're gonna study. We have already learnt about the read method, right? So read method takes size as the argument, and it is an optional argument. If the size is omitted, it will display all the contents, it will read all the contents, right, till it reach the end of the file. But if I wanted to read, right, only the first 100 characters, then I could specify here file.read, in bracket I could specify 100. Let us see this, right? Here in this part I wanted to display only this, so this 1 2 3 4, right? Only the 4 characters are being displayed, right? So if I wanted to display only 10 characters, so this is the representation of only 10 characters. So in this file read, we could specify how many characters we wanted to display, or how many characters we wanted to read, right? Then okay, so this is the example I've already told you. If I wanted to read the 100 characters, so this way I could put it in the parentheses, and then likewise we could read 100 characters. Then okay, so I wanted to read the contents line by line. So here read line is another method which we could read it by line. So instead of writing print read, I could simply specify here print f dot read line. So only the first line gets printed, right? So the entire line has been printed or being read, right? Okay, so it reads a single line from a file and it returns the empty string if the file has reached to its end, right? Then we have the read lines. It reads the entire file and returns the list of lines. So one thing to note, list. The output of this is being outputted or being cached in a list. So the data type of line would be a list type. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to read all the lines and convert all the lines in the list. So this method converts all the lines from a file and convert in a list, right? So let us see. So this we have done it by using a read, and then we have read one line. Now in this part I will see okay, print f dot read lines. So now you can see that the output has come in the list format, right? So all the lines are separated by a comma, right? So if you wanted to have your first line, sorry, so this is your first line, and if you have wanted to display a second line, so this is your second line, and if you want to display your third line, this is your third line. So in this part what I have done is I have taken all the lines, all the contents of a file that was present line by line in a list format separated by a comma, right? Or we can do one thing, another thing also, right? Instead of writing this, what we can do is lines equal to f dot read lines, right? For line in lines print line, right? So what we are trying to do is, this is a list and we are iterating the contents of a list, right? So it will display all the contents line by line, right? So basically read lines outputs reads the entire file and returns a list of lines, right? So here in this part I have printed the lines and taken line by line, right? So now the next method of the file object is your write method. So this was done using your read. So you have your file, you can read your file in by using three methods. First, you can read it by normal read method, it will display all the contents. Second is your read line, which will display only single line, and third is your read lines, which would output it in a list of lines. And then you could iterate through your list, and then you can display your lines accordingly. Now you wanted to write something to your file, then we have some file object method, that is write, right? So in the write method, what we have earlier studied, if the file does not exist, it will create a new file and it will write the new contents in that file. And if the file already exists, it will overwrite that file, right? So let us try to understand this, right? So what I do is, for f is equal to open, right? Then I'm trying to open a new file, my file 1.txt, Now as you already know that this file I have created, but this file I have not created, and this does not exist. You can check in this file folder, only my file.txt exists, my file 1.txt does not exist, and I am opening it in the write mode, right? Then I'm trying to write some contents into this file. So let us write something. So let us say this only. I'm copying the contents and I am putting this text into a right. So this is my content. I'm putting into it file, right? In the first operation we have opened a new file. The file does not exist, it will automatically create a new file, and we have opened it in the write mode. We wanted to add something to the file. Now this file writer, in this file.write method, I will put this text to it, right? Then I will close this file, right? So let us see what will happen. Okay. Okay, so now it is good, right? So let us see this my file 1.txt gets created in your folder. So I open this file and will try to look what is in this file. So this is my new file, right? Right. So this file has been created, right? So here I just wanted to give /n and then also /n. Okay, right? So basically this is my file. I have written some text inside my file and opened it in the write mode. Now I wanted to read the contents of this file. So let us see what contents my file1.txt holds. So I will do another operation, open my file 1.txt, right? And I have having a file pointer that is f is equal to open, and then file.read and file.close. So here I need to print the contents so that it will get printed in my console, right? So what we have done is we have created a new file, right, and written some contents into that file. Okay, now what if I copied this part only and I wanted to write the contents in this file, right? So this file already exists, right? Now I am trying to write the file, right? Okay, so I need to write it in the write mode, right? Now if I wanted to check is my file contents have been overridden. So that has been overridden by this new text which I am trying to write in my this file, my file1.txt, right? That we can easily check by opening a file. Here I could write read, and here I could specify, not specify anything, and I would write print, right? So this is my new file, right? So this is how your write method works, right? It will override the contents if the file is already present, and if it is not present, it will create a new file, right? Okay, so here we have seen how we can read that file, how we can write that file, right? And it reads the text from the ls and writes to the wonderland, so that can be also be done, right? Okay, so the next method is your append method. What does append method does? If you are trying to append something in your existing file, it will add in your add that content in your file. We need to specify the append mode, right? So here in this part, in this file only, I wanted to append the contents, and I will here write something, right? So you can see that in my file1.txt, this is my new file has been already been written. If I wanted to write this text again without overriding it, right? So I wanted to create a duplicate text here. So that can be done by using the append method. So let us do it, right? So file has been this has been taken, this has been executed. Now if I wanted to read the contents of my file, and I do a print here, and here I specify, so you can see that this is my new file, this is my new file. The contents gets appended to my file which I have specified, right? So this way you can modify the contents of your file, right? Okay, so now we have another method called seek. Seek changes the file object position to offset, right? So you don't want to read your files starting from the beginning, you wanted to read your file after some specified text or some specified location. So that you can specify it by using your seek method. Seek methods will leave that area and will start reading from the 8th character, okay, right? So here this is my file, right? What I do is this, so this 1 2 3 4, so this takes 4 elements, right? So I'll specify 5. So I'm telling the file pointer or the file object to read from 5th character, right? So now it is being read from the 5th character, and after that it will read, right? So this is how my seek method will work, right? So the next method is your tell, right? We wanted to tell the current position. It returns an integer giving the file object current position, so that we can do it by calling our tell method. So here I'm seeking it, and then I'm printing f.tell, so it will tell me the current position. After all the file contents has been read, it will tell me at what position or what location the file pointer is there, so it will tell me, right? Okay, so now it is telling me that it is in the 5th location, 5th position, while starting to read the contents. And then after it has read all the contents, so the file pointer is at 40, right? So this is how your file seek method and tell method works, right? Okay, if we wanted to check whether the file exists, then we need to import some modules, right? We need to say import OS, right? And OS module we need to import from the inbuilt Python libraries, or the inbuilt Python has got some inbuilt modules which we need to explicitly call it by using your import function or import keyword, right? So here in the import module we are trying to call the OS module, right? So OS is a library which is a package, you can say that, which consists of some methods, some inbuilt functions or inbuilt methods. Then you can call those methods to do some task, right? Some programmers has written or given the OS library, right, in which you could do or perform the operations, right? And one such method in the OS library is your os.path is file exists is file, right? We wanted to check whether your file exists or not. If it exists, then open that file, else the file does not exist, you can say that, right? So this is how your import method will work. This module will cover in the next part, right, in which I will give you all the topics about the import statement and your OS part, right? So this is only the beginning in which I am giving you the intuition that how your import works and how you can import a particular model, right? Okay, so we have imported this OS module, right? Then in this OS module we are checking if the path dot is file, right? And your file is file1.txt, right? If your os.path and at that path is file, means this file is present or not. If it is present, right, then print, we are printing file is present, right? Else we are saying file does not exist, right? So this file path is present, so it enters into that loop and then it says file is present. If for some reason I put here 81, so this file path is not present, right? So it will say file does not exist, right? So this is how you could use your imports and your inbuilt modules that could tell you, and using inbuilt modules and inbuilt functions, so you can work in a better programming, right? So you could call these functions and you can check whether my file is present or not, whether if it is present then you can read that file, you can modify that file, you can append that file. If it is not present, then we can do something else, or we can tell the user that this file is not present, so we are trying to write something or we are trying to read this from a file, it is not present, right? So this kind of operations can be easily done by using your import statements. So in this next module we will cover the import part and we will look upon the basic libraries such as math module, system, OS module, and we will learn about these libraries. Okay, so thank you guys, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the session.